Drive ignition.
This is Actar's Reviews, from anime to figures and beyond. Hey, this is Actar and you're watching another episode of Actar's Figure Reviews, and we are back after our 2-week hiatus to a brand new addition to the Robot Spirits or Robot Tamashii line, and that is this, the ARX-7 Arbalest from the series Full Metal Panic and its sequel Full Metal Panic The Second Raid. Continuing on, the box itself, we see that it has a greyish whitish colour scheme, quite a contrast from the Robot Tamashii Code Geass figures with its very black colour scheme. Over here we see some hexagonal patterns, Arbalest, the logo of the series here, Full Metal Panic, The Second Raid. We have the Kadokawa's seal of approval, a seal of authenticity I should say, a portrait of the Arbalest over here. And turning the box to the back, we can see the usual collage of pictures featuring the Arbalest in various poses and showing off all the accessories it comes with. We also can see the stats of the robot and the figure itself, along with warnings, labels, so on and so forth. And well, that's pretty much all I can say about the box, so aside from the fact that it is pretty thin. So let's open the box up and take a look at the figure, the contents, and everything else that's included in this box. Here we have the figure in its plastic packaging. As we can see, the accessories are once again laid out very neatly in this clamshell plastic packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let me just show you something else that the box included, and it's this. This is a little instruction sheet detailing the use of various accessories, and we also have a little advertisement for the Robot Tamashii stage. And here we have Bandai's ARX7 Arbalest from their Robot Tamashii line. Now the ARX7 Arbalest is an armed slave, which are what the mecha are called, piloted by Sagara Souske, our main protagonist from the series Full Metal Panic and the rest of its sequels. The ARX7 Arbalest is a third generation armed slave that is based on the M9 game spec, so there are many of the design features that are carried over, but it is special and unique, and one of the first of its kind, because it actually possesses the Lambda Driver. I'll get into the Lambda Driver a little bit more later on when we take a look at the accessories itself. And here we have a little close-up of the ARX7 Arbalest Robot Tamashii figure, and as you can see, it is a wonderfully detailed figure. Just look at the details on this thing. The paint applications are fantastically done, and there doesn't seem to be any paint flaws on the figure itself. One thing I really would like to point out about this figure is that it is very accurate to its original show counterpart. The material that the figure is made of is exceedingly sturdy, so it doesn't feel like a cheap plastic knockoff, and the joints are all really nice and tight. So before we take a look at the articulation of the figure itself, let's take a look at the rest of the accessories. And once again, the Robot Tamashii line does not disappoint, because there are a ton of accessories that are included. First of all, let's go with exchangeable hands. We have a pair of open palm hands. We have one grasping hand. We have one hand that will allow you to hold the Arbalest's knife. And we have one hand that will allow you to hold the Arbalest's gun. And speaking of the weapons themselves, here they are. So first off, let's take a look at the gun of the Arbalests. We can see that despite being really tiny, it has a ton of nice detail on it. The barrel here, I believe that's what the barrel is. I'm not sure with gun terminology, but it can be cocked. There's such a nice little attention to detail there. And not only that, we can see you can pull this back. I do believe this is to be used for recoil, to actually buffer the recoil. I'm not really sure what it's called, so it's very nice attention to detail, and simply so many nice little features that are actually packed into this one little accessory. So next we have the Arbalest's knife, or molecular knife. It works pretty similar in concept to the Evangelion's progressive knife. Not only is the knife included, but the scabbard is included as well, or sheath. We pull the knife out and you can see once again it is a very nice detailed knife. The paint is really well done. So the next accessory will allow you to attach the knife or the gun to the figure itself, just like in the anime itself. The knife can actually be placed on the side of the figure, just like we see in one of the episodes of the series, and simply pegs into place very nicely. In some of the episodes, the Arbalest can be seen carrying a secondary knife in its mouth. We see that the Robot Tamashii actually included an exchangeable facepiece that does have the knife attached to the mouth. So to exchange the facepiece, what we need to do is to remove the head. It's on a simple ball joint. Remove the facepiece by simply pulling on these two blue parts. There we go. Take the other facepiece and simply reattach it to the rest of the head. And then reattach the head onto the body of the figure itself. And here we have the Arbalest holding its secondary knife in its mouth. Bandai went out of their way to provide a secondary knife to be posed with the figure itself. It really would have been better if they actually included silver detailing on the bigger secondary knife, but that's just a little minor gripe, and I can live with that. Now, what would the Arbalest be without its Lambda Driver? The Lambda Driver is actually a piece of black technology, and black technology is a term used to describe technology that is way beyond our time. That's in the Arbalest itself. And the Lambda Driver is a device that will allow the pilot's thoughts to be turned into reality. And this is an exceedingly powerful weapon that is used in the Arbalest. The Lambda Driver is definitely one of the most integral and important features of the Arbalest, and I'm exceptionally glad that the Robot Tamashii figure did not disappoint and included pieces to allow you to pose the Arbalest with its Lambda Driver activated. So what we need to do is to first pull off the two shoulder pads, and they are attached on simple ball joints, so they are actually relatively easy to remove. And next we have to remove the two back fins of the Arbalest. Simply pull them off like that. Then we replace the back fins with the activated versions. And we replace the shoulder fins or shoulder pads with the activated versions. And here we have the Arbalest with its Lambda Driver activated. Just take a look at that. So let's take a look at the articulation of the Arbalest, and like all the previous Robot Tamashii figures, the articulation is simply astounding. So first off, just in the head itself, the head is actually triple jointed. There's one joint just below the head, one joint connecting the neck joint to the head joint, and one neck joint itself. So there are actually three joints to the Arbalest that will allow you to pose the head in practically any position you want to. The arm itself is double jointed, once at the body itself and once at the arm. The can move up and down, and not only that, this little piece here, this entire piece, is separately articulated, so it will allow you to achieve a much more natural movement, natural look to the figure, more streamlined. The arm joint, as you can see, can rotate just below the elbow. The shoulder pad of the Arbalest is on a separate joint, is separately articulated. The elbow joint is double jointed. Now that is exceedingly impressive. The wrist is on, the hand is on a ball joint, and it can move whatever way you choose. The waist is double jointed, once here and once here. Now this will allow you to pose the figure once again in any position that you want. You can even turn side to side and rotate side to side as well. So a ton of movement there. The leg joint is on a simple ball joint, so forwards and backwards, in and out. You can actually rotate just below the leg joint itself. The knee joint is where it gets really impressive, because not only is it double jointed, but just look at the extent of posability it will give you. You can get a fantastic kneeling pose with this, and not only that, the knee pad is actually separately articulated from the rest of the leg. The main foot joint is on a ball joint, and then not only that, you have another joint below this joint, so it's actually double jointed. The foot is double jointed, and the front of the foot is separately articulated from the rest of the foot, so it's just three joints right there in the foot itself. So in conclusion, I highly recommend picking this figure up. Now, not only is it a fantastic figure in its own right, what with the amount of painted and molded detail on the figure, the outstanding articulation, the quality of the material that's used to make the figure, and the number of accessories that's included, but because of the significance of the figure. Fans of the Full Metal Panic series have been waiting for ages, for years and years, for a good figure of the Arbalest, and we really never gotten one until now. And of course, I'm not including the Outer's rendition of the Arbalest, because that one is way too expensive. So this figure is the first ever high quality, affordable Arbalest figure. The only thing that have made this figure perfect would have been the inclusion of an openable cockpit. And if you're a fan of the series, or even if you're not a fan of the series, but a fan of mecha or figures in general, I really highly recommend picking this figure up. This is Zach saying, see you guys in the next episode.
なかなか痛いぞ。